Hey guys, today we have another jacket battle, this time between the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2 versus the Arc'teryx Cerium LT. That's next. Welcome to Backcountry Renegade. I'm Jeff. This channel is all about hiking, backpacking, and overlanding, and all the gear in between. And if you're into those things too, consider subscribing. Today we're looking at two popular jackets for hiking and backpacking, namely the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2 and the Arc'teryx Cerium LT. Both these jackets are down insulated jackets that are lightweight, compressible, and good for all sorts of activities out in the backcountry. You can use them as a mid-layer underneath a shell or just as a standalone jacket. They're both lightweight, compact, and they do pack a nice warmth. So let's check it out in a bit more detail. The Cerium LT is a lightweight down insulated jacket from Arc'teryx that is one of their top selling jackets. It also has synthetic insulation in strategic areas that are prone to get more wet. This is a popular jacket for hikers, backpackers, and also climbing in the backcountry as well. This jacket here sells new for $379 for the hooded version and about $30 cheaper for the non-hooded version. It has a good balance of weight to warmth, and it also comes in various sizes and colors. This one here is in a men's small. The Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2 is one of the most popular jackets in the backpacking and hiking community. It is made by Mountain Hardwear, and it is a revamped version of the original Ghost Whisperer that's been around for a really long time. The Ghost Whisperer 2 actually features a bit more down insulation than the original, and also features a little tougher denier on the shell. This jacket here comes in a hooded version, but it can also come in a non-hooded version. It's super popular as an ultra lightweight insulated piece, and it can be used also to layer as well. It comes in various sizes and colors, and this one here is in a men's small. It sells new for $325. Looking at these two jackets, there are a lot of similarities to note. Both these jackets are lightweight, they're compressible. Both of them are also made of really high quality down. They both have elastic cuffs, a hood, and zippers that are very similar as well. They are windproof to an extent. They also can repel water because they both have DWR finishes on the shell. Now let's consider some of the differences by looking a little bit more in depth of each. Starting with the shell. The shell fabric of the Arc'teryx Cerium LT is an Artero 10 denier nylon shell, which provides an excellent balance of lightweight but also durable material, so it's not going to rip or tear very easily. It's also a wind resistant shell, so it can repel the wind pretty easily. 10 denier is made of a ripstop nylon, and it's pretty durable. It also is coated with a DWR finish to help repel water to an extent. However, if it does rain, you will want to put on a shell because it's not completely waterproof. The Ghost Whisperer 2 is a 10 by 10 denier Whisper ripstop nylon. The Whisper material is a special material for the Ghost Whisperer line. It is an ultralight 100% recycled ripstop material. It's also coated with a DWR finish to help repel water to an extent. The 10 denier is actually beefed up from the 7 denier in the previous year version, and they tend to beef it up a little bit more in areas that are prone to more wear, so it's a little bit more durable as well. So both these jackets are 10 denier on the outer shell, and I think that's an excellent balance between weight and durability. Let's talk about the insulation. The Cerium LT actually features 3.6 ounces of 850 fill power down, so a very high premium quality down that they use here in most of the areas where your body tends to get cold, around the body, arms, neck, and hood. Now, in other areas that tend to get a little bit more wet, like under the arms and maybe around the wrists and stuff and shoulders, they actually went ahead and put Corloft Compact insulation. The reason is because the synthetic insulation, the Corloft Compact, it actually maintains loft a whole lot better than down does when it gets wet. And so in the areas that are prone to get wet, they actually want the synthetic insulation. So you actually have this mapping. It's called down composite mapping, and you can see that in the picture here. The amount of Corloft Compact synthetic insulation is about 80 grams to 100 grams in various areas, and they have some solid insulating properties that also helps it to maintain its loft if it does happen to get wet. So it's an interesting combination. You have the majority of the jacket is down, but you have synthetic insulation in strategic places. The Ghost Whisperer 2, on the other hand, is 3 ounces of 800 fill down. So you can see the difference there. You have a higher quality down, plus you're using more of that higher quality down in the Cerium LT, so 3.6 ounces of 850 compared to 3 ounces of 800 fill. So naturally this is going to have more down. This is going to be the warmer jacket, and it is, as we test that out, as we'll see. But this is an excellent jacket considering what it is. It's an excellent spring to summertime jacket. I would use this one in the late fall, maybe early winter time frame. So something to keep in mind as far as warmth. The down that they use is an RDS certified down insulation, and the down is also made with a Q-Shield hydrophobic coating. So that makes the down able to resist water to an extent. So if it does get wet, it will still maintain its loft. So the differences between the two is you have 850 fill power down compared to 800 fill down, and they're using more down in the Cerium, 3.6 ounces compared to 3 ounces. So naturally you have much more down and much more loft in the Cerium LT. And so that's going to be a warmer jacket. The big difference though is with the Ghost Whisperer 2, you have hydrophobic down, where the Cerium LT you do not. So you do not have the hydrophobic down, but you do have synthetic insulation in areas that might get wet. So if you experience a rainstorm, you will want to put a rain shell over these jackets just to be safe as well. So let's talk about the weight. The weight of the Cerium LT is actually 305 grams or 10.8 ounces, even with the hood. Now mine came out to be a little bit heavier. It came out to be about 11.1 ounces. So considering how much more down you have in there and the compact synthetic insulation that is in there, you do get 10.8 ounces. Now let's compare that to the Ghost Whisperer 2. It's advertised on Mountain Hardware site as being 7.8 ounces, or that's 220.5 grams, which is the claim on Mountain Hardware. That must be for like an extra small or something, because mine came in as a mince small, even a little bit heavier at 8.3 ounces. So something just to keep in mind with that. The reason it comes out to be a little bit heavier than last year's version is because, like I said, it does have more down insulation in it, and you have a tougher denier as well. So you do have a little bit heavier Ghost Whisperer 2 jacket compared to the last generation. So comparing the weight of these, the Ghost Whisperer 2 is about 8.3 ounces on my scale, and the Cerium LT was 11.1. So looking at these two jackets, the Ghost Whisperer comes in about 2.5 ounces lighter than the Cerium LT, but where the difference is it's going into the down insulation here. So you're using more down, and so you're getting a little bit heavier weight with the Cerium LT. So let's talk about the warmth. The Cerium LT does use more down insulation and higher quality down, so you'd expect it to be the warmer jacket, and it is. I started to feel cold around 28 degrees while I was standing still at the Cerium LT, just wearing a shirt underneath. And while I was moving, I started to feel cold around 23 degrees. So the Cerium LT did a really good job as far as keeping me nice and warm with that insulation there. So the Ghost Whisperer 2, I started to feel cold while standing still with only a shirt on around 32 degrees, and while moving around 26 degrees. So significant improvement from the last year's version, because you do have more insulation and a little bit sturdier denier, so it's going to be able to reflect the wind a lot better. So it is the warmer jacket than the previous year's version, but comparing the Cerium and the Ghost Whisperer 2, the Cerium is going to be your warmer jacket because you have more down insulation in it. Let's consider the baffles. You can tell by the Cerium LT and the Ghost Whisperer 2, they both use down baffles, and that keeps the down in place to prevent it from migrating down into the rest of the jacket. So they're both really filled up as well for what it is. The Cerium LT, as you can see, has thicker down baffles because you are using more insulation. The Ghost Whisperer 2, on the other hand, they're smaller, thinner down baffles. Now, what that adds up to is you have actually more seams between each baffle in the Ghost Whisperer 2 compared to the Cerium LT. So as a result, naturally, there's no insulation where those seams are, so it's going to be colder of the jacket as you have that, compared to the Cerium LT where you have less of that, so it will naturally be the warmer jacket, which adds up to the testing as well. Now, both these jackets had a good job of maintaining the down inside the baffles. However, with the Cerium LT, there are times I did find that through some of the seams, some of the down tend to come through. So that is something I found more with the Cerium than the Ghost Whisperer, so something just to keep in mind. Let's talk about the pockets. Both these jackets have front pockets in the front. The Cerium LT tends to be a little bit smaller pockets, and they tend to be angled as well. So it's better if you're wearing it, you can angle your hands in. The problem with the Cerium LT pockets is I found that they do get interfered a little bit with a hip belt or climbing harness. So if you're wearing a climbing harness, you tend to want to put it under your jacket instead of over, otherwise you won't be able to access the hand pockets, or it'll be cut off to a significant amount. Now the Ghost Whisperer 2, on the other hand, as you can see, they have a lot larger pockets than the Cerium LT. And the reason is because they anticipate you wearing a climbing harness or anticipate you wearing a hip belt. And so you can still access your hands even if some of the pockets are cut off there from the hip belt. So the pockets do a good job. You have the insulation on the outside and they'll keep your hands nice and toasty on both of these. As we open it up, you can see there is some material on the outside, no insulation, but your hands will be able to stay nice and warm by putting them in the pockets because they're covered with the insulation on the outside. Now looking at the inside, the Ghost Whisperer 2 does not have any pockets on the inside, and that's an effort to really maintain its minimalistic design so you can save weight. The Cerium LT, on the other hand, actually has a pocket in the inner chest pocket. It's a zipper pocket which actually holds the case for it, so that way you can go ahead and compress your jacket when you're done. Let's look at the cuffs here. Both these jackets have minimalistic cuffs. The Cerium actually has some elastic on the inside here, which helps keep the cuff nice and tight and prevents it from having to let wind in. The Ghost Whisperer 2 really doesn't have any elastic. It actually has this kind of material here that helps you to go ahead and grip your sleeve, but also kind of grip a glove if you put it over a glove as well, but not very elastic there. And as a result, it can let in some cold air because it's not closed completely like you do with the elastic on the Cerium LT. Let's talk about the hem draw cords. If you open up the Cerium LT, you do have 2 hem draw cords on the side, and you can pull it and then you can loosen it back, and what that's going to do is it's going to tighten around the waist to prevent any cold drafts from going up into the jacket. Looking at the Ghost Whisperer 2, you have 1 hem cinch cord here, and as a result, because it's only 1, if you pull it, it can be really long and kind of annoying. So that's my one downside to this, is because they only use 1, it becomes really long. So I tend to even not use it very much unless I really am cold. Now, as a result, you do have this button on the inside here, which can be kind of cumbersome to try and loose, but you push it and then you pull the jacket and it'll get back in there. So they both have hem cinch cords, and they're able to keep the cold air out so you can tighten around the waist. Let's talk about weather resistance. The Cerium LT has a basic DWR finish coating on the outside to allow you to repel rain to an extent, so it does a good job that way. However, the down here, if it does penetrate through, which if you get a heavy enough rain, it will penetrate through the shell. If it does touch the down's going to lose its loft, and once it gets wet, the jacket will be useless. So something to keep in mind if you anticipate going into an area that's going to be cold and wet, I would highly recommend taking a rain shell to put over that if you anticipate those things. The synthetic insulation really is just there in the strategic spots where you might sweat more, and as a result, it won't wet out as easily. But if you encounter rain, the whole jacket will wet out pretty easily and it'll become useless until it dries. So make sure you bring a rain shell. Now the Ghost Whisperer 2, on the other hand, it also has the Q Shield hydrophobic down on the inside. And so as a result, it'll be able to maintain wetness to a certain extent, but it eventually will wet out as well. But it'll maintain its loft a whole lot longer than the Cerium LT. So the Ghost Whisperer 2 happens to be the more weather resistant jacket, and it gives me the extra confidence while taking it out. If I do get light rain, that I'll be okay. But with either of these jackets, you will want a rain shell. Let's talk about the fit. Both these jackets have a pretty good trim fit, but I will say the Ghost Whisperer 2 tends to be a little bit boxier, a little bit more bulky, especially near the waist, than the Cerium LT. The Cerium LT and Arc'teryx is known for having just an amazing fit. So this one fit me really well. I really like the fit of the Cerium LT with Arc'teryx here. It's more trim, it's more athletic kind of fitting. Compared to the Ghost Whisperer, it seems to be a little bit more boxy as a way to maybe accommodate for more people. The one thing though that I do have about the Ghost Whisperer 2, one dig about it, is as I move my arms, maybe if I'm like reaching for hold or climbing or something, I do feel a little bit of tension in under my arms as I'm wearing the Ghost Whisperer 2. I did not feel that with the Cerium LT. So the Cerium LT, I felt really mobile with it compared to the Ghost Whisperer. That was the area I felt a little bit tight and restrictive. Let's talk about the hoods. Both these hoods are pretty good. The Ghost Whisperer 2 has this insulation throughout, as does the Cerium LT. They both have these elastic brims in the front to maintain the structure of the hoods. The Cerium LT actually has a cinch cord here in the back to go ahead and maintain and tighten the hood if you need it to. So maybe you're encountering fierce winds and you want to tighten the hood so it doesn't fall off. You can tighten it with the cinch cord there on the back. The Ghost Whisperer does not have the cinch cord on the back, and that's just as an effort to really save weight. So just be aware of that. It is a nice hood though overall. When it comes to wearing a helmet, both these hoods don't really go completely over a helmet. So they can go underneath the helmet, but if you are wearing a helmet and you put a hood over, you will be a bit restrictive by wearing these hoods. So something just to keep in mind. Let's talk about the zippers. Both these jackets use YKK zippers. It seems to be about the same size zippers. They're both kind of smaller than normal. And as a result, they're both pretty delicate, so just be aware of that. But they do a good job as far as the zippers. They are reliable. Just be careful with them as you're using it because they are delicate. Now let's talk about the compression. So the Ghost Whisperer 2 will actually compress into the front right pocket. So we're gonna go ahead and just compress that. And the nice thing about this one is because it's 100% down in here, it will compress nicely, where the Cerium actually has that synthetic insulation. All right, so there's the Ghost Whisperer 2, compresses nicely into its sleeve. You do have a little tab to be able to hang this on a harness or a hip belt, and you do have your zipper there. So compresses really nicely there for the Ghost Whisperer 2. All right, so compressing the Cerium LT, the case is in the inner chest pocket here, so we're gonna go ahead and compress that. And as you can see, this is a little bit harder to compress because you have a little bit smaller of an opening on this little case. I'm not a huge fan of the case, and the reason is because you can lose it. So I'd much rather if the Cerium would be able to fit in its front pocket, but as a result, I think they went to do this to try and save weight so they have less zipper to work with. All right, so the Cerium LT in its pack here, and as you see, it does have a little tab here to go ahead and store it on a harness or a hip belt in that, and you can clip it on a carabiner. You do have your little cinch cord here where you can tighten it down. And so comparing the size, they are very comparable. It just, the Ghost Whisperer can compact even further. So this was able to compress a whole lot easier than the Cerium LT, and that's because the Cerium LT, one, uses more down, but also uses synthetic insulation, and the synthetic doesn't compress as nice as down. So something just to keep in mind, and that's how you compress them. So concluding thoughts, who won the jacket battle for me? Really, both these jackets have a place in a quiver of jackets. They both are really good for certain seasons of backpacking. The Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2 is great for the summer and spring and maybe even early fall occasions. But if you want something a bit warmer, say into the fall and winter, then the Arc'teryx Cerium LT is a really good choice. But if I did have to choose between these two jackets, I would have to go with the Arc'teryx Cerium LT, and really it's because the pros outweigh the cons. The first pro of the Cerium LT is that it is a better fitting jacket. I don't feel tight under the arms like I do with the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer. This is pretty nice and relaxed up here. It allows you to reach for holds if you're climbing and stuff. And it just has a great athletic trim fit, where the Ghost Whisperer tends to be a little bit more boxy and a little bit more tight under the arm. So I feel a whole lot less restrictive, but I like the fit a lot better with the Cerium LT. Another pro about the Cerium LT is the down insulation. It's higher quality down. You have 850 fill down compared to 800 fill down in the Ghost Whisperer 2. So you are getting a higher fill capacity of down, and as a result you can put more down in there as well to get it warm. And so that's the third pro of the Cerium LT. It is a warmer jacket. So since they're able to compact higher quality down in it, they actually do that. You have more ounces of down in here compared to the Mountain Hardwear, and as a result, it is the warmer of the two jackets. Another pro about the Cerium LT is the versatility. I think it's a more versatile jacket than the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2. And the reason being is you can take this in a wide range of temperatures. You can take it in the spring, you can take it in the summer for the cool nights, but it's also warm enough to keep you warm in the fall and even early winter. And if it gets into the 20s, maybe below that, you might want to either consider a shell over this to give you a little extra warmth, or you might want to consider something a little bit more heavier of a jacket. So let's consider the cons. The first con of the Cerium LT has to be, for me personally, that it's not hydrophobic down. Now, while the Cerium LT does use that composite mapping where you have synthetic insulation in certain areas that are more prone to getting wet, the down insulation inside actually is untreated down. So it's 850 premium quality down, but it doesn't have hydrophobic down like the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2. If it did, this jacket could possibly be my favorite jacket of all time. So Arc'teryx, I'd love to see you put some hydrophobic down in here, and that would really be an upgrade to this jacket. Another con about the jacket is that when the jacket compresses and you seek to store it, it actually has that storage sleeve inside the right chest pocket. And the thing that I don't like about that is it's really easy to lose that if it comes disattached. And so that's one thing I don't like. I really would have loved if the pockets were maybe slightly bigger so that it can compress into its own pockets like the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer can do. So that's one of the cons, but something just to keep in mind is you do have to compress it in the little sleeve, but you might lose it. Another con about the Cerium LT is there are certain places in the stitching of this jacket where I do find that it tends to maybe leak a little bit more down than the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2. Now, all down jackets will eventually leak some of the down through the stitching, but the Cerium LT tends to do it, from my experience, a bit more than the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2. All right, so who won the jacket battle for you? Was it the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2 or the Cerium LT? Leave me a comment in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts. If you like what you saw, also make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more jacket battle content like this. And as always, thanks for watching.